Hello everyone. Today I will be revising with you the subject of a verb in Latin. Do you remember what the subject is and how to find it? I'm pretty sure you do, but I want to clear up any possible confusion about it because the subject is easy to miss in a Latin passage, and if this happens, your entire translation will be wrong. So let's go. As you know, a verb is a word used to describe an action, such as run, sleep, hear, watch, love, walk, anything. And a subject is the person who does this verb. For example, Maria runs. Maria is the subject of the verb run. He sleeps. He is the subject of the verb sleeps. In Latin, the subject is always hiding in the verb's ending. Each ending corresponds to the person or subject who is doing the verb. We have three persons in the singular number, I, you, or he, she, it, and we have three persons in the plural number, we, you, and they. When a verb ends in O, the subject of this verb is going to be I. When the subject ends in S, the subject will be you, singular. When the subject ends in T, the subject will be either he or she or it. In the plural number, when the verb ends in mus, the subject will be we. Tis is you plural, and anti is for they. So we saw that the subject is always hidden in a verb's ending, but the subject can also be outside the verb. It can be a noun or a pronoun. If it's a noun, the subject must be in the nominative case. This means that it must end in any of those red letters that you see in this table. But watch out! The subject must agree with the verb's ending in terms of number. If the verb's ending is singular, such as O, S, or T, then the noun which works as the subject for that verb should also be in the nominative singular. If the verb's ending is plural, such as mus, tis, or nt, then the subject, which is a noun, has to be in the nominative plural. So it must end in these endings that you see here in the plural. Now, if the subject of a verb is a pronoun, it is a little bit easier to spot. All you have to do is look at your verb's ending, find the subject in English in your head, and then search for that English word in Latin in the passage. For example, I is ego, you is tu, we, nos, you, vos. If the subject ends in T, I know that T stands for he or she, and then I can look in my Latin passage and see if I can find the word he in Latin somewhere. If I find it, then it's going to be my subject. Or if it ends in, let's say, anti, then I know that anti is they. And I can look in my Latin passage to see if I can find the word they anywhere. So let's have a look at a passage, and we're going to try find the subjects. Subito ursa saeva bellimicum percussit. I go to my verb first, percussit. I look at the verb's ending to find the subject. It ends in T, so I think that the subject has to be he, or let's say she. Now I have to go back in my sentence and see if I have a noun in the nominative that can function as a subject. And indeed, I do. I have Ursa, which is a noun and it means bear, and it ends in A, which is nominative singular. That gives me the freedom to use it as a subject. The bear hit. Further down, we read sustulerunt. The first thing I do is look at the verb's ending, erunt. This ending means that the subject is they. It ends in nt. So I have to look in my sentence and see if I can find a noun in the plural, because they is plural. It's many. So let's see if we can find anything. I have principes, that is a noun. I have clamorem, which is a noun as well. Let's say that I want to use clamorem as the subject of this verb. It ends in em. Can I use it? No, I don't see em anywhere there in my nominative plurals. So it has to be principes. It ends in es. It's nominative plural like reges, so that's perfect. Moving on. I will look at sedebat. This verb ends in bat. Or you can just look at the T. Well, that's the same. So T is for he. So I have a singular subject. Let's go back in the sentence and see if we can find a noun that can function as a subject. I have ursa, that's a noun. Lectum, that's a noun. And rex, that's a noun. Well, the subject here can be either ursa because it ends in a, which is nominative singular, or rex, which is again nominative singular. Lectum, it ends in um, and you might argue that it could function as a subject, but this is accusative, so it's not nominative because it follows a preposition ad, so lectum is not the subject. So why isn't ursa the subject of sedebat? Because ursa is the subject of another verb, kukurit, and I don't want to do this verb. The subject of sedebat, which means he was sitting, is rex. Moving on, I'm going to look at nolebat. Bat, again, shows me that the subject is he or she. Now, I need to go back in my sentence and see if I can find a noun or a pronoun that can function as a subject. I have is. And is means he. So I'm very lucky. I found it. This is my subject. It is a pronoun and it means he. So it translates he didn't want to, or he was not willing to, because nolo means I'm not willing to. Let's look at the verb transfix it. It ends in T. So I expect that the subject is going to be he or she. Let's go back to my sentence. The sentence starts here, bestiam transfixit. Now, I only have one noun there. Can that be a subject? Well, no, because I don't have any noun ending in am in the nominative, neither in the singular or the plural. Am is accusative. It is not nominative, so it's not my subject. The subject is simply hiding in my verb, and it is either he or she, depending on the context, depending on what the passage is talking about. In this case, it's Dumnorix, who was a man. So it's he pierced the bear with a spear. Poor bear. And let's look at the last verb of this passage. Decidit. Now, this ends in T again, and I expect that T is he or she. Let's look at the sentence. Mortua is not a noun, so it cannot be a subject. Illa is a pronoun, and it means she. So there you go, I have it, she. It's the Latin way of saying she. She fell, decidit. That's a perfect subject. So that's it for me today. I hope that this has made it a little bit more clear for you how to spot a subject and what the possible options are. And don't forget, you must always start by looking at your verbs endings. If you look at the verb's ending, you're going to know the hidden subject. And the hidden subject then is going to guide you into looking for either a singular noun, nominative singular, or if it's plural, you have to look for a plural noun. And of course, there is an option that you might have the person written as a pronoun. I, you, we, you, he, she, it, or they. You can have those in Latin in your passage. So that's it for me for today, and good luck with your Latin translations.